is a perfect example. Guy's got a Jurassic Park t-shirt, and this guy's saying that a man named Jesus is the only way. It's unique. One reason why I say it's unique is because we believe in a book, right? This is the Bible's called book. I just bummed this one. And so, in this book, you've got to believe the stories that are told. There's a reason why you're told these from a very young age, right? It's a unique perspective because you give all your power away to another person. Yeah. What does that mean? So my aunt, she was real serious about, when I was a teenager, I really was a Bible thumper. Her religion, those figures are all one and the same. It encompasses 3 children now. So it's important to note that. Now this sign says, on the other side it says, Jesus, all these things Jesus did for you. But it's important to note that before Jesus, there was Daniel's cause of causes. See how they always try to replay the same story? They like the same story because it's convenient. They know how to plan around it. I knew that when the Rael character, Raymond Elwood Lear, was claiming to be Jesus, he used some sort of text from the Torah and some sort of computer program. Some Australian guy who was with the Special Forces decided to say, yeah, I verified this to be true. He started getting people to pray to him on national television. After a short while, then he started threatening everybody in America. He said, if you don't give me 10% of what you earn, I'll destroy all of America. That's what he said. He also made sure to let everybody know that he was the risen Jesus. That's what he said. He proclaimed it. And all these videos of him going to casinos and gambling and all that stuff started happening. He got in problems with his taxes. I did make a comment or two on his YouTube channel. He had something called the Armageddon Network. It's funny because it coincided with a rock. It's really intriguing to me that when you look at the older texts, the guy's name was Yeshua HaMashiach. So I'll defer you to your religious standpoints again and say that if you really do believe in this figure, teal again, see? So much teal, it's amazing. There's a teal lunchbox over there. Teal shirt right there. Teal lunchbox, see? So as you can see, the fabric of reality is changing based off of something else, not off this. Now, if your name is John in English, somebody tries to call you a different name in Spanish, you wouldn't know. For those who know my name not, I know theirs not. Don't you get it? So, it's important to note that any man will figure out a way to get more than what they deserve. It's fractal in nature. Look at all the billionaires. Look at all these other people. They don't care, right? They only care about what they want at that time, just like anybody else. See? But the problem is his name in Hebrew is Yeshua. So if you call out to Jesus, but his name is Yeshua, you might not be calling to the correct person. That's part of the problem of changing the scripture. That's why the scripture's been so perverted. Just like somebody who molests children, right? So I can't stop you guys from doing whatever you want to do, but I can tell you this. My name is Nicholas for a reason. Yes, I am. And as you can see, there's rapid changes happening in the environment. Miracles. The thing is that if you knew what the history was, and then you defer it to being what you want, what does that mean, right? The only thing I can prove to you is that I'm walking on the earth. When I had a telescope, I could prove to you that there was a moon, and I could prove to you that there was a sun. And other than that, I cannot prove anything outside of the earth to you. I can tell you that one of the reasons why I don't want to have a boy that's, a child that's a boy, is because of this sycophantic need for their religious zealousy. So if I have a boy, there's a reason why they say by the blood of Jesus you're saved. There's a reason why child sacrificing is really big in the Old Testament to the god of Moloch. And there's also another point of contention to how society treats that right now. Children that are not even born into the world are being sacrificed. That's how I see it. Would it be fair to my offspring to bring them up into such an environment? It's not. And especially if they have the same characteristics as I do. Then what does that mean, right? Well, the Democrats want to say that it's not your child, it's society's child. And we can see how society likes to become furries, or change their gender, or do other crazy things, right? Personally, if we were to go and poll everybody and say, hey, this is how this guy really is, where should he have kids at? They would all unanimously, if we really had a democracy, we really had everybody and we tallied everybody's votes, said, hey, this dude's like Superman. Should he have kids in a state where abortion is crazy and vapid, where social engineering experiments could deter a woman to wanting to have an abortion versus having a child? Or should we, what should we do? 98% of people would say Utah, or somewhere where the child would not be killed or harmed or have its genitals mutilated. It's just that simple. One reason why they want to keep me in a cage under artificial light is because then I will always be white. And then they can say this stoic figure, this messianic figure is white, which that's not the situation. The situation is however it was intended by the Creator, which is not something that I have a lot to do with. I am a victim of the circumstances much like everybody else. There's no change in that. Man, I gotta go get some fried chicken, bae. Anyways, there's not a lot that I can do to change what's happened. There's nothing wrong with me. See, when I look at me, I'm like a caramel color. You know what I mean? I do think that the Black Lives, I'm not going to change my stance on the Black Lives Matter movement. I really do feel like when I came downtown, it was a sunny day. I was filming them. There was one black dude, Obama black dude, standing in the middle of a whole bunch of white college-age kids with their faces covered, destroying everything, saying Black Lives Matter and looting and stealing everything. Right? That's what I see firsthand. I seen it as a ploy to make everybody who is a different skin color look like a thief. That's what I seen. I personally don't care to indulge with these crazy ideas and these crazy arguments, because that's what it amounts to, right? And that's the beauty in my circumstance, is that no one's gonna come up and say that, because I'll just look at them and say, look at me, I don't know what you're talking about. I think you're crazy. And no one wants to deal with that, right? Because when I can prove that they have that instability, or what would appear to be an instability, then the argument is mute. So they got to be careful with that whole mental problems talk, because it can be turned right around onto them, right? Because if something like that is happening, which I don't know, I think that there's something really simple to explain, like the shading of light, or I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But of course I don't see through other people's eyes. And with all these problems that are being encouraged, I mean, it definitely fits, right? So, I have rights. I have inalienable God-given rights. And the fact that they're being thwarted, people are telling me I don't have any rights, they're lying, they're making stories up, because they want things to go a certain way, and they want it to go their way. The problem is that there's all of us in the mix here, but I also have a choice. And regardless whether anybody likes that or not, I have a choice in the matter. Get it? In the matter. Also, saying antimatter is a terrible thing, because that's where it all stems from, right? Because, long and short, family will always be, blood is always thicker than water. You know what I mean? So, be real careful about how you guys choose to follow through with this, because you like to see things as polar opposites because of your ubiquitous nature. But the problem is that if it's all one and the same, and then you desecrate one part, the other part will come at you. The other issue is that the United States government doesn't like the idea of Jesus, because it's a totalitarian regime change, is what they say. Teal. See how there's more teal? Now, was that already teal? Was there enough people with teal on, and I just started realizing it? Or when I started paying attention to it, and I feel like that's the norm, it starts becoming the norm. Just like when Paul and I were in the car and we noticed more Subaru Outbacks. Now, a joke one time when I was reading through the dictionary, there's a definition anyways, kind of lost train of thought there. I just feel really weird about this because if that's really the case, and I really do change color in sunlight, which isn't too far to see, you get tan, people get tan, skin pigment is just skin deep. So we're all really relative in that sense. Everyone's really relative. You know, it's all relative. More teal. I just know now something different than what I didn't know before. You know? And these people want to lean on this Jesus figure because then they could do whatever they want and then say, oh, well, Jesus saves us from any of those sins. While, just pushing the idea on you that you can't sin, right? It's just a weird, it's what's called the Hegelian dialectic, right? Teal headphones. So, the reality comes down to the fact that anyways, the reality is that they want to do whatever they want and then have an easy out. That's it. There's no other explanation for what they're doing. And there's no reason for it either. When you really look at it at basement value, everything was just fine. And so whatever's going on now is an intent on destroying everything. That's it. And it's because rich people or whoever isn't getting what they want. You know? That's all that is. It has nothing to do with reality. You know, consistently causing problems for another individual isn't a good way to live life. And there's no way around that. There's no way to say, well, we're forgiven because... No, that's not how society works. How life works is that there's actions and reactions. Murphy's Law is what they call it. For every equal and opposing action, there is an opposite reaction within the same measure and weight. This is encompassed in the yin and yang. The yin and yang is described in the Bible. In the midst of all the darkness, there shall be a speck of light. But in the midst of all the light, there shall be a speck of darkness. I don't have anything unique on my cell phone. I don't have deep sync. I only, it's not that I don't want to try it. It's just that I figured out the networking. What it's called, what they say that I'm doing. There's other people who've tried to compete with me too. I don't like how they call it a home lab. It's called a home computer lab or a computer lab. But the similarities between... It's not me, it's like a bar! Anyways. That's crazy. What the fuck do you think I said I had for? I have reruns! Fuck you up! That's crazy. What I'm dealing with is a circumstance that is, in physics, is unique. That's his fucking birthday! What the fuck? There's something wrong with you! I'm so mad! I went this way! Anyways. Look how old you are! see how it is. Whatever it is, it's very angry that I've won on every single event.
You're fucking broke, bitch!
I'm only broke because people made it that way. Because if we were all given the same opportunities, I would totally win. Because that's what happens when you're better. You don't have to lie, you don't have to cheat, you don't have to steal, you know, you just work hard and save. If anything, America got a huge disservice because what would have happened is I would have been able to prove that even pumping gas, you can become financially stable in America. That's what I was getting ready to prove. That's another thing I was getting ready to prove. Kind of like I could prove that I could stop an earthquake. Or make. Just like I was going to prove, the farthest away, It's kind of deferring that the New Glenn rocket got called the New Glenn rocket. Because Mr. Glenn did supervise a farthest first spacewalk. In that notion, though, the quantum singularity, since it encompasses matter, can create its own electricity. It's so beautiful because not only can it do unlimited amount of computations and create its own electricity. I've got to stop and record this for a minute because this just is too entertaining, Yes, notice how when that individual realized I was recording, they stopped acting so crazy. So, I don't know if I can account to that being force of motor control, because obviously the exasperated behavior shows maybe levels of hurt or physical pain being exerted. There's not a lot to explain that. It's very weird. And there's not a lot that I can do to stop someone from acting that way, So it's just a unique set of circumstances where technically if we followed the laws in this country, there's been a whole lot of discrimination. And this is just what God would do to teach everybody a big fucking lesson. Teal.